Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Sweet Tea and I'm an otaku hottie who loves all things anime, manga, comics, TV shows, film, you name it. And if you are also interested in those topics, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so we can have a fun time with chill vibes. So I really wanted to talk about Soul, the most recent Disney Pixar movie that came out on Christmas. It honestly came out at a perfect time where so many of us are either feeling lost, stuck, or unsatisfied with life. And as you watch the movie itself brings up an interesting question that we often ask ourselves. What is the meaning of all this? What does it mean to live life? And after watching this film, Soul answers this question in a beautiful way that I think we can all learn from. So for reference, the movie follows a man by the name of Gardner, who is a middle school music teacher who is honestly feeling stuck and really unsatisfied with life because he's not going after his goal or achieving his dream of wanting to be a jazz musician. Things start to change when a former student of Joe calls him with an opportunity to play with a legendary jazz musician. So, of course, Joe jumps at the opportunity and he ends up nailing the audition and lands the gig. After Joe lands the gig, he's so excited. He's literally on cloud nine, and he's just going about the city with no care in the world until he suddenly falls into a manhole and ultimately dies. So after he dies, he finds himself on this conveyor belt contraption that's kind of like the stairway to heaven a bit, and it's leading and guiding him towards this great white abyss that's known as the Great Beyond, where you're basically laid to rest in the afterlife. But Joe is not ready to accept reality because he just landed his big break. So he runs away from this abyss and tries to escape, and he ends up falling off of this conveyor belt and finds himself in this different realm called the Great Before, where souls are born and prepared before they head to Earth to live life. So in the realm of the Great Before, souls are given mentors to help them find their spark. And what a spark is basically a symbol that you are ready to live life. And that symbol is shown when you earn a little earth patch on this little palette thing that the souls have. So once you earn your earth patch, that's a sign that you're ready to go live life on Earth. So Joe gets mistaken for being one of these mentors, and he's paired up with 22. This extremely cynical soul that honestly doesn't care to live on Earth. 22 doesn't want to live life. However, Joe explains to 22 that he's just trying to get back to his body so he can play at the gig that he just landed. So 22 and Joe come to an agreement to help 22 find her spark so she can give Joe her Earth patch and then Joe can go back to Earth. However, as we continue to see Joe outside of his body, in his soul essence form, we see Joe begin to contemplate and regret the decisions that he made in his life, and it made him feel like he took a lot of his life for granted. And this is evidently shown when there's a moment in the Hall of Memories or something like that, where Joe's memories appear and his life just looks really depressing and dull and empty. So as 22 and Joe go through all these activities, they didn't have any luck finding 22's spark. 22 then has an idea saying, hey, let's go to this place called the Zone, where we can probably find some people who can help you get back to your body, Joe. So they end up going to this place called the Zone. And the Zone, for those who don't know, is this place where people can enter after their passions lead them into this euphoric trance-like state because they are so into whatever they're doing. Also in the Zone is where lost souls roam around, And lost souls are people who are just so overwhelmed with life and they feel stuck and they feel unsatisfied and they don't feel worthy and they feel like they're not good enough. So they roam around aimlessly in this field. Joe and 22 then come across a group of mystics without borders type of people who rescue lost souls. And after they watch them rescue the lost soul, 22 and Joe talk to the captain of these mystics, and they offer to help Joe recover and find his body. So once the mystics start doing this ritual around Joe, the portal to Earth begins to open, and we eventually find Joe's body in a hospital. So then Joe and 22 lean over the portal a little too much and they end up falling to Earth. So 22 ends up landing in Joe's body and Joe ends up landing in a cat's body. Both of them are extremely freaked out and then they're like, we have to find the captain of the Mystics ASAP because it turns out the captain also lives in New York. So they are able to locate the captain. And then the captain's like, okay, cool. I can go ahead and get you all back to your proper places where you belong. Just come here at XYZ time before Joe's gig. So in the meantime, before Joe and 22 are going to get their body switched back, Joe shows 22 around town and shows some little things that he likes to enjoy, as well as, going to the barber, trying pizza, and just little different things that ultimately make 22 realize, wow, living on Earth is actually kind of cool. Like, there's a lot to experience here. And then before it's time for Joe and 22 to go ahead and get their body swap, 22 has this epiphany that, she was meant to be there so 22 can, learn about life and what it means to live so that she can find her spark. However, then Joe snaps at 22 because he wants to play in his gig and he tells 22, no, you're only enjoying all this because you're in my body. Like, that's just plain old living. Like, that's not a purpose. That's not a spark. You're just doing basic living things like eating food and getting your hair done at the barbershop and just getting your suit tailored and everything. Like, that's not real living. But 22, again, is not ready to go back to the mentoring program. So 22 runs away from Joe and a chase scene then ensues before they are captured by one of the soul counselors and they are taken back to the great before. So then 22 and Joe get into this big argument and it's then revealed that 22 has the earth patch because she found her spark. But then Joe tells 22, the only reason why you got the earth patch is because you were living in my body and you were only enjoying those experiences because that was my body. 22 gets really mad at Joe and so she angrily throws the earth patch at him and then she storms off. Joe then picks up the earth patch and then heads to Earth so he can play in his gig. Joe goes back to Earth, he plays at the gig with the jazz legend and he really has a great time. But then when the gig is over, he's left feeling unfulfilled and he has this realization like, wait a minute, like, this is it? This is all I do? Like, I thought it was going to be something more. I thought it was going to be more special. Like, this is it? So after Joe has this realization that, like, this is it, like, I'm not really satisfied with this, Joe then approaches the jazz legend and he's like, is this all we do? Like, is there something more? Like, what's going on? The jazz legend then says this really, really memorable quote that honestly hit home for me.
It's just, I've been waiting on this day for my entire life. I thought I'd feel different.
I heard this story about a fish. He swims up to this older fish and says, I'm trying to find this thing they call the ocean. The ocean, says the older fish. That's what you're in right now. This, says the young fish, this is water. What I want is the ocean. See you tomorrow.
After the jazz musician and Joe have that conversation, Joe then thinks to himself that maybe he's been getting all this all wrong. maybe life isn't about like going after your dreams or ambitions and trying to find a purpose, but maybe he's missing something and he couldn't really see the clear picture. Joe then returns to his apartment and he begins to play his piano to really get a feel for what's going on. And as he's playing his piano, he begins to remember all the little nuances of life that made his life special, that made life really memorable to him. And he begins to realize that he's been getting it all wrong. It's not about finding a purpose or, finding a passion or going after your dreams and aspirations and goals. It's really all about just living life and enjoying life. So Joe's playing the piano so well that he enters the zone. Once he enters the zone, he comes across the captain of the Mystics and he's like, look, I gotta find 22, where is she? The captain then notifies Joe that she's been turned into a lost soul. So Joe and the captain go on this quest to rescue 22 from the abyss. So once Joe and the Mystic captain locate 22, they have a hard time getting through to her and trying to bring her in because she kind of puts up a fight and she's just not having it. She doesn't want to hear anything because her head is so filled with just these negative, drowning thoughts that nothing's getting through to her. However, eventually Joe is able to get through to her and he apologizes to her and tells her that, you know what, like I had it all wrong, 22, like I was completely wrong. Life is not about having a passion or finding a purpose or achieving dreams and aspirations and goals. That's just a small fraction of it. Life is really about living life and enjoying the moments of life, enjoying going for a walk, going to the barbershop, and even eating your favorite food like pizza. That's what life is really about, is enjoying those small little nuances and living them to the fullest. So after Joe says all this to 22, he inevitably frees her from the state of being a lost soul. So after 22 is freed from the state, Joe then gives 22 the earth patch back and he tells her, you know what, you're ready to live. You're ready to start living. Because Joe gave the earth patch back to 22, he cannot go to Earth. But Joe is ready to accept his fate. And so he finds himself back on that conveyor belt stairway to heaven type contraption that is leading him towards the great beyond. However, at the last minute, one of the soul counselors appear before Joe and they tell them that, Joe has inspired all of the counselors and that they've decided that they want to give Joe a second chance at life. So then after giving Joe this information, the counselor asks Joe, what are you going to do with this second chance? Like, what are you going to do with your life? And then Joe just says, well, I'm going to live it to the fullest. I'm going to enjoy it. And that is the end of the movie. After watching this movie, I really resonated with Joe's character because just like him, I was feeling really lost and unsatisfied with life. And I felt stuck, especially because I just graduated from college recently. And I honestly don't know what I want to do with my life. And I just feel so much pressure from life itself and what's going on around me. And not only that, but it's hard not to compare yourself to others and where they are at in life, especially when I see people who are the same age as me, who are really successful. They have these successful businesses or they're millionaires and whatnot. And it's hard to not compare yourself to that, But then just watching this movie really reminded me of a lyric by one of my favorite rappers whose name is J. Cole. And the lyric comes from a song called Love Yours. And so basically, the main message of the song is, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. That is the lyric. And this song really resonates with me because in the song, J. Cole is saying there's always going to be someone who's prettier than you. There's going to be someone who's better than you, who's more successful, more talented, and someone who's richer than you. There's always going to be someone who's ahead of you. But at the end of the day, you have to live your life and love who you are because there's nobody who is you. And I really resonated with the message of that song, and it correlates with the theme of this movie too. So like the core root message of Soul was basically letting us know that we have to enjoy the small moments in life, slow down and smell the roses, because no matter what we do, no matter if we just keep chasing after our ambitions, chasing after our dreams, or trying to find our purpose and what we're meant to do, doing all those things is not going to fill the empty void in our hearts. Doing all of those things is not going to end the despair or unfulfillment that we are feeling with life. What fills those moments is living life and enjoying what life has to offer, whether if it's, eating your favorite cuisine, your favorite dish, listening to music and enjoying music, or going on a little trip somewhere, or even going for a walk and enjoying the weather. It's all about living life and living those small moments to the fullest, because we honestly take life for granted. I don't know about anybody else, but 2020 was a major wake-up call for me. And especially after watching Soul, it reminded me that I don't need to be hung up and caught up on what my aspirations or dreams are. I don't need to be caught up on where I want to be in the future, but instead I should be finding ways to enjoy life and living my life to the fullest, because you only have one life. I'd rather spend my life enjoying it, having fun, and really living it to the fullest than feeling dull and stuck and feeling like I'm not good enough. Because at the end of the day, you are good enough, and everyone's journey is not the same. But the purpose of life is enjoying that journey that it takes you on. Overall, I really enjoyed the message of Soul. It really hits home with me, and I feel like it's a message that we all needed to hear, especially because of social media nowadays, and just seeing everybody posting all of these achievements and everything. And it can be overwhelming to look at. It really can. And it can be hard not to compare yourself to other people. And it makes you feel like you're kind of a failure, because I definitely felt that way. But once you take some time to pause and really think about the things that you were able to overcome, the things you were able to accomplish, it makes it so much easier on yourself. And in a way, this movie was telling us as well that we need to be kinder to ourselves, and we need to share more compassion with ourselves before we can show more compassion to others. We need to love ourselves more and really enjoy life more. And that message really hit home with me when I watched this movie. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and also thank you guys so much for 100 subscribers. Wow, that is amazing, and I really appreciate all of the love and support that I've been getting, and I cannot wait to make more content for you all. So please support the channel by hitting that like button, subscribing, and hit the bell notification to stay notified for when I upload new videos. Also, keep up with me on my socials, because I would love to hear from you all and talk to you all. Matter of fact, let me down below in the comments. What did you think about the movie Soul? Did you really enjoy it? Did the message of the movie really hit home for you like it hit home for me? And also, would you all be interested in me doing a full movie review of Soul? Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. Well, that is all for today's video, and I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Bye-bye.